All right. Let's dive into the world of extreme fitness. We're talking David Goggins. You know, the guy runs ultra marathons like it's just a casual jog in the park.
Right, right.
We're going to be looking at a YouTube video by Renaissance Periodization,
Okay.
and it features Dr. Mike. He's a sports scientist.
Yeah.
And he kind of dissects Goggins's routine.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever wondered, like, if those crazy workouts, are they really effective, or is Goggins just built different?
Well, I think what's fascinating about Goggins is he embodies this like incredible willpower, right?
Yeah.
He pushes past what we think are our limits as humans.
Cool.
But the real question is, are his methods the most effective, even for him, right?
Yeah.
And could the average person benefit from training like this?
So Dr. Mike breaks down Goggins's routine in this video.
Yeah.
It is intense.
Oh, yeah.
It is no joke.
It's nuts.
We're talking waking up at 3 a.m. for workouts.
Yeah.
Losing 100 pounds in 3 months, mainly through exercise.
Right.
And those are some epic runs. He considers anything under 7 miles light.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we haven't even gotten to like the calisthenics, right?
Oh, yeah.
Goggins is he's aiming for hundreds of reps of pull-ups, push-ups.
Right.
He calls them nickels and dimes throughout the day, right?
Nickels and dimes.
But even Dr. Mike questions like the effectiveness of such high-volume calisthenics for muscle growth.
Yeah. It makes you wonder, is there a point where you're actually breaking your body down instead of building it up?
Well, that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Goggins is clearly pushing mental boundaries, but physically there's a law of diminishing returns, right?
Yeah.
Dr. Mike points out that while higher reps build endurance for muscle growth, you're better off lifting heavier weights with fewer reps. It's about working smarter, not just harder.
Smarter, not harder.
Right.
And what about, okay, those 2-hour nightly stretching sessions?
Oh, my God.
Goggins swears by them.
I know.
I mean, who has time for that?
Well, this is where Dr. Mike emphasizes the importance of sleep, right?
Yeah.
Over almost everything else. Goggins seems to sacrifice sleep for those marathon stretching sessions, but Dr. Mike points out that sleep is far more crucial for muscle recovery and growth than stretching. So that's something to consider,
Yeah.
For those of us who aren't ultramarathoners, maybe prioritize those Z's over endless stretching.
So maybe those late-night Netflix binge sessions while stretching aren't the best trade-off.
Well, there you go. You're catching on. But in all seriousness, Goggins is an incredible athlete, but his approach highlights an important distinction. What works for pushing mental limits isn't always what's optimal for physical results.
Right.
Even for elite athletes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's incredible how much Goggins pushes himself. But, like, for those of us who aren't training for, ultra marathons every weekend,
right?
What are the takeaways here?
Yeah.
Can we even, like, apply any of these principles without becoming, nocturnal workout warriors?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We can learn a lot from Goggins, even if we don't adopt, like, his exact routine.
Right.
Take his intense focus on cardio, for instance. Dr. Mike clarifies that while running is great, for cardiovascular health, right?
Yeah.
You can't outrun a bad diet. He points to Goggins's significant weight loss, 100 pounds in 3 months.
Yeah.
And reminds us that diet plays a huge role, even for Goggins.
Wow. So even with all that running, it still comes down to what you eat.
Exactly. And this is where understanding electrolytes comes in.
Okay.
Especially with, like, intense workouts like Goggins's, right?
Yeah.
When we sweat, we lose electrolytes. And these are essential minerals, right, that help regulate fluid balance in our bodies. Without them, our muscles and nerves can't function properly.
So those sports drinks, they're not just like glorified sugar water.
Well, some can be, right? That's why it's important to choose wisely and read the labels.
Right.
Look for options lower in sugar and with a good balance of electrolytes like sodium and potassium. Coconut water is a great natural alternative, too.
Oh, okay. Good to know. I've always wondered about that.
Mm.
But back to the workouts themselves, Goggins seems to thrive on this like super strict, almost military-style schedule.
Yeah. Right.
Is that level of discipline even realistic for like the average person or even necessary?
That's a great question. And this is where Goggins' approach might not translate well for everyone. While he thrives on that, like, regimented routine, right?
Yeah.
Dr. Mike highlights the importance of flexibility, and adapting to life's curveballs. Things like,
Life gets in the way.
Exactly. Work deadlines, family commitments, or even just needing an extra rest day.
So finding that balance between pushing yourself and like listening to your body.
Exactly.
Okay.
And speaking of listening to your body, Dr. Mike emphasizes the importance of rest and recovery. which Goggins tends to overlook, right?
Hmm.
Goggins pushes through pain, but that's not sustainable or advisable for most people.
Right, so those rest days are non-negotiable,
Absolutely.
even if we're not, you know, running ultramarathons.
Rest is when your body repairs itself and builds muscle. It's not about being lazy. It's about giving your body what it needs to perform at its best.
So no more feeling guilty about taking a day off.
None at all. Now, you mentioned Goggins's nickels and dimes, his high-rep calisthenics throughout the
Yeah.
day.
Nickels and dimes, yeah.
While that works for him, Dr. Mike explains the concept of diminishing returns with high-rep training.
Okay, break that down. Diminishing returns. It sounds kind of intimidating.
It's simpler than it sounds.
Yeah.
Essentially, it means that after a certain point, doing more of something doesn't necessarily equal better results. With high reps, you build endurance, but for muscle growth, heavier weights and moderate reps are more effective. Dr. Mike uses the example of push-ups. 100 reps might sound impressive, but it won't build as much muscle as, say, 3 sets of 10 reps with a weight that really challenges you.
Right.
So it's about, again, working smarter, not just harder.
This is really making me rethink my whole fitness thing, you know?
Mm.
Goggins makes those high reps look like easy.
Yeah.
But it's good to know there's a smarter way to approach strength training.
Right.
But we can't forget about the mental aspect.
Yeah.
This guy's discipline is unreal.
And that's what I think is so captivating about Goggins, you know.
Right, yeah.
He embodies this like no excuses mentality. But what Dr. Mike helps us understand is that intensity doesn't have to mean those punishing workouts at 3 a.m., you know.
Right.
It's about finding what challenges you personally.
So what does like intensity even look like for those of us who aren't, you know, training to win ultramarathons
Yeah.
or break world records?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it really is different for everyone.
Yeah.
For some people, it might be, you know, committing to a consistent workout schedule, right?
Yeah.
3 days a week, every week, no matter what.
Yeah.
For others, it might mean pushing for that extra rep, that heavier weight, you know, going for that faster mile time.
Right.
It's about like identifying those mental barriers that we put up for ourselves and
Yeah.
deciding to break through them.
So like finding your own version of a Goggins challenge,
It's exactly.
even if it looks completely different.
Yeah, it's not about, you know, comparing your journey to anyone else's, right?
Right.
It's about like challenging your own perceived limits,
I love that.
whatever those may be.
This has been such a great deep dive.
Yeah, it's been fun.
I've gone from like David Goggins' extreme routines to like actual advice we can all use.
Exactly. And, you know, I think the biggest takeaway here is that you don't have to train like Goggins to see, you know, incredible results.
Right.
Focus on balanced training, prioritize rest and recovery, and don't underestimate the power of a healthy diet.
Yeah.
But most importantly, you know, find your own version of intensity.
Love it.
You know, something that motivates you and challenges you on your own personal fitness journey.
Awesome. Well, hey, it's been great exploring this topic with you today.
Yeah, this was fun.
And listeners, we hope you've gained some valuable insights here to help you, you know, level up your own fitness journeys.
Absolutely.
Until next time,
Yeah.
stay curious and keep exploring.
Since